Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oi? Breaking news. I believe it's a wonderful evening this evening. First and foremost, before we get started, let's pray for the people that are in the way of the hurricane this evening. Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. It's unfortunate of they've been hit time and time this year. Our prayers go out to them and their safety. Uh, it's an interesting day in Brownsville with what Channel 5 has put out there. It's Santana, Kanina, Leah. Good evening, everyone. Good, Frank. Good to see you. It's for me, it's kind of disturbing. I mean, I'll put it out there. But you know what? We'll give you a recap of what we have so far on day 3 of the Sylvia Atkinson case, and we're going to put some photos up so people can understand who the faces are, of who we're speaking of, and who has been already mentioned in this ongoing case. Jessica, how are you this evening? Mary, prayers back to you and your family. Dora, good evening. Virginia, good evening, everyone. Hey, guys. Paul Johnson.
Hey, Paul.
We'll get to that here in a little bit. Peppermint, good evening. Wait, go back. Go back. Thank you. You see, speaking of that, Brownsville, Texas, earlier today, and I have some witnesses that I entered an establishment here in downtown, and they love my show, Brownsville Night, or is it Brownsville Talk? They just were ecstatic of my show. Ratings were going through the roof. Of course, we're again tonight with the Bachelor #1, all the way from San Pedro. Who likes to have candlelight dinners. We have my good friend Jim, because oh no, I'm sorry, it's Tim. I always get your brother confused. And in mansion on Fruitdale, of course, we got Carlos. Good evening, Jennifer. So let's recap the last 2 nights before we start. So everyone might as well get your popcorn because it's a who's who of Brownsville. Oh, and for some, Christmas may be coming early. Good evening.
Good evening. You have to say it. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Carlos, how's your shorthand going along?
Horrible. Horrible. But I tell you what, there's a lot of information here. Hot off the press, guys. Hot off the press.
Julio, thank you for joining us. Lorenzo. Thank you, buddy. I love you too. #1. I always love people that shoot the #1 sign to me. So let's put up the photos and go through everyone that has been mentioned, and then we'll go back step by step real quick to
Arviño Treviño in the house. Arviño Treviño.
Who's that guy?
We have Ricardo Moreno. That's the
Rodrigo.
Oh, Rodrigo.
Sorry, Rodrigo Moreno, who's the key witness up in the left-hand corner. Under him are the vendors, who is Cesar Lopez and Escobedo. There was the mention of Sylvia having her hand in with the city with Murith, Nice, Cowan, and Mendez. Then we have those that were complicit in taking a bribe for their vote, which was Peña and Cowan. But Drew and uh, Prisi were the factoring votes. They mentioned also that a TSC president, which we will hopefully establish tonight, is involved, and we don't know if it's the president of TSC or the president of the board. Uh, on on the hot seat today after Rodrigo was the superintendent of Rio Hondo, who's under the Cameron County seal, and also we'll get to the last photo here in a little bit. Guys, can you, Frankie, how are you doing this evening?
Maybe cut off a little bit. Let me just go to say, thanks guys for coming out here. It's a little tiring after having to be there, 8 hours all day, trying to take notes, trying to make sure that we get as much information out to you guys. There's a lot of things that have happened, from day one. There's a lot of players in this web of Sylvia Atkinson, and it hasn't even stopped yet. There's still more people that are going to be brought up, and I'm sure tomorrow we'll have another individuals on this list. But to tell you guys, it has been very interesting to hear the amount of information that the U.S. government has against Sylvia Atkinson. And then one by one, you have these individuals that are being shown here in the picture that were being brought up to testify. And each one of them shares the same thing. The kingpin here was Sylvia Atkinson, the person that was in the middle of this web that you see. And this diagram doesn't show it the way it should. It should have Sylvia right in the middle and these little dots connecting all these individuals out there. But I can see how they did it here, by depending on where they're located within the city, the county, or the state, as a matter of fact, because even the names as Cornyn were thrown out, and Ted Cruz were thrown out. So maybe there's not going to be enough room in this thing. But I'll tell you what's happening, guys. It's very, very interesting to see. And it's very sad to know that these individuals at the school district, these current board members, these people who want to run for election again, are part of the scheme. And this is not testimony on my behalf. This is testimony on the defense. This is testimony on the government that have labeled these individuals as part of this scheme, this corruption, this paid play kind of deal. Someone's microphone is horrible. I don't know who it is, guys, but anyway. So you're thanks, Arthur. So what's happening, guys, is that little by little, the government has been putting information out, putting out these undercover stings, these recordings, these telephone calls, these videos, actual videos of these individuals, especially the number one kingpin here, with La Doña. I think someone labeled her as the La Doña, getting money and putting it into her purse. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up, guys. You cannot actually say, you know what? I cannot believe what I just saw. We saw it not once, but twice, 3 times, 4 times. They continue to play these videos, these audio recordings, these schemes, these pay to play kind of deals. But each and every other day, they've been adding more and more members to the mix. As you can see, it started with one individual. It started with Rodrigo Moreno. And then the connection just started going from there. And if you notice right now, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say 9. We're at probably like 12 individuals so far that have been named. We still have people out there that we don't even know who they're going to bring in. And if, I'll tell you a little bit what happened today. Let the other guys talk for a little bit.
Good evening, everybody. It is evolving. This case has been very, very interesting from its inception. It started out with Rigo Moreno, who has been working for the federal government for the past six odd years, and building a case against Sylvia Atkinson. We see how we have had board members on the stand today. We have heard many different names through KRGV's story this evening. It sounded like the investigation against the judge was, from what I read, and I wasn't there.
I
It
will.
was it didn't lead to nowhere. There was an investigation done. Whether the feds looked into it or not, that's something that did come up. But again, this is something that the federal government has been working on. Um, we'll see where this goes, but this is very interesting. But from what I read on the KRGV story, it seems like if they did investigate it and it went nowhere, but that is according based on the story.
Yeah, it every day that passes, it gets more depressing, and it leaves you in an awe. I invited two people to attend today, and the owner of the backstabbing every single teacher organization didn't show up. Patrick Hamas, the owner of Valley, Texas, or teacher, I don't know, TVA, Albert Alegria, didn't show up. But yet they're out there. They're out there disgustingly endorsing other people that are connected with the wrong group of people. These people that are going down.
See, what happened, Frankie, and I'll elaborate about what happened. I think we need to work on a little bit of that story on the back end, because there was things that I'm going to tell you, that probably do not and are not part of, or not privy just to the public yet, because there is, I'm telling you, there is a current investigation, and I'll tell you who in a little bit. But let me tell you what I wanted to say. All these individuals that are coming in on a daily basis, and Tim and I have been there, every day trying to get as much information out there, because it is important for the teachers, it is important for the school district, it is important for the parents, teach the citizens of Brownsville to know what is actually happening. Because guess what? If there was no retaliation, and if there was no fear of this person that's there would be more people there in the audience trying to see what was going on. But because most of these staff members, most of these individuals that are scared of Sylvia Atkinson and what she has done to many, many people, uh, don't have, I I can't say the strength to go there. More than anything, they don't want to be out there and be a scapegoat for these individuals, because there's still people out there. She is still thinking that she's going to come out of this unscathed. You have family members there every day, and their attitude when you see someone fist bump each other after the defense goes out there and attacks a witness for the government, and it was a great attack. The defense did a really, really good job trying to make sure that person got discredited. Using the evidence of the government, but they've only shown snippets. They show little pieces of it. When you pull back and you look and you see the gamut of the actual evidence that they were supposed to present, then you notice that is not how it went. The government comes back like Mike Tyson and pounds the defense, and sets back their case, and actually proves a stronger case for the government against this individual, of all the wrongdoing she's done and all the people that are involved. All the people that played a role in her being able to go out there and facilitate these contracts and push the agenda, and go after individuals. And if they don't play, guess what? They are taken out. They are taken out swiftly and heavily by that individual. I'm going to tell you who she is. She sits in a position to where she has control of the pen, the power of the pen, to be able to ruin people's lives, to be able to put into play search warrants and arrest warrants for individuals who are not going to stand with what we are seeing on a daily basis, that has taken away not only from BISD, but from Rio Hondo ISD and many other places. I'm telling you, I am a victim of that powerful pen.
Sure.
The really, really good friend of Sylvia Atkinson, who I'll tell you exactly what happened, what the defense brought up, and what the government is actively seeking. So she is not a victim here. She is a person who knew exactly what she was doing through an individual that held a high seat at the school district.
So, guys, let's just go through who was on the witness stand today.
Well, day 3 started off really, really nice. It was a beautiful day out there, guys. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows it was nice and chilly and cool. It led for a great day inside the courtroom. It was freezing in there, like always, and the seats are horrible. So, guys, we are going through something that we normally don't go through. It's very hard to sit on a wooden bench for 8 hours straight. There is no room for the weary, I tell you. But day 3 started off really, really well. They brought in their first witness, which is Ismael Garcia from Rio Hondo. Yeah, right. Yeah, it was number 1.
Is he
Yeah,
the superintendent?
After they finish up with Rodrigo.
yeah, that's right. They finished. So the day 3. Let me go back to my notes real quick. My shorthand. I've got so much stuff. So
They
yeah,
finished with Rodrigo.
the defense. They bring out exhibits and stuff like that. They finished off with Rodrigo, and then they brought in, actually, the first witness was Cesar Lopez.
Ismael. Before lunch, bro.
No, I'm talking in the morning, right off in the morning. Oh, that's right. You're right.
Yeah, Ismael, and then when we got back, the second
Ismael was the first witness, the superintendent of Rio Hondo, and of course, he worked with Dr. Atkinson. I don't know if he worked for her or under her, depending on what they were presenting today. But go ahead, Frank.
Carlos, as a previous board member, what powers does a superintendent have? Could they place agenda items on for the board members to vote on? Why do you think the government is targeting Ismael Garcia, the ex superintendent at Rio Hondo? Obviously, he had some dealings with Sylvia Atkinson. What actions did he take, or what actions can a superintendent take? That because remember, Sylvia Atkinson was an assistant superintendent or an assistant administrator, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So what role does she play? And do we expect that school board members in Rio Hondo were complicit?
Well, see, what they brought up was, and I don't know if they were going after Ismael Garcia, but they were using him to show how much of a bulldog, how much of a push or Sylvia Atkinson was. When she wanted something, it would get done regardless of who you were. And that's what he actually came out and said. He came out to testify that said, what? Yeah, I was the superintendent. I retired. He actually retired very, very quickly right after the arrest of Sylvia Atkinson. Ismael retired. He retired in June 2010. And what he was saying out there is that, yeah, he was the person in charge. He was a person to be able to make sure that things were getting done, especially when it came down to buying these computers that he wanted to buy. He wanted to buy, I think he said, like 1,800 computers. Adding the staff was 2,100, but because the purchase was so huge, they decided to make a pilot program. The pilot program fell under the auspices of Sylvia Atkinson, because she led the department, the IT department, so it would fall under her, right? And so that's where this evolved, and they wanted to know how it happened, what happened. More than anything, it was how she was able to bring a vendor in and coach him through the process. And then, of course, the deadline to file this bid for them in Rio Hondo, they had a deadline of 2 p.m. This vendor doesn't come until 2:01. So what they were telling him is what qualifies, what is a procedure of bidding for this stuff, and so they took him through the process, and they said, okay, look, if a vendor, you have 3 vendors, and they brought out, you have a vendor who shops, who has a Ford, and someone else has a Chevy, they're talking about automobiles. What would you do? Would it be okay to be able to go and ask them for specifications before the bid close? Well, yeah, it's okay. What about pricing? Yes, it's okay, because they want to get the best price for the district. And then the defense, this is the defense, right? And then the government says, what if the bid was already closed? what are the specifications of being able to accept a bid? And so they asked him, would it be okay if the vendor came in at 2 o'clock and turned it in? Yes, yes, of course, at time. What if the vendor came in at 2:01? Well, then that vendor should have been disqualified. Should never be been considered. So then, how is it? How is it? Huh?
Happy birthday. Sorry. Happy birthday,
Oh,
Natalia Santana. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
so they're like, how is it that disqualified bid continued through the process? And so they found out that Sylvia Atkinson was the one that actually was coaching this individual on how to be able to go through there. And then she says to this vendor, through recorded messages, telling him, I had to nudge the superintendent. I had to nudge the superintendent to be able to accept it. And how she did that was she went over and said, well, look, superintendent, the individual was inside the building at 2 o'clock, but didn't get to the office. I guess, and I've never been to Rio Hondo. Maybe the office is huge, way in the back somewhere, and because he walked in at 2 o'clock, but didn't get to the office wherever that is, probably like 2 miles down, till 2:01, and they sent it at 2:01. Then he should qualify because he was in somewhere in the building at 2 o'clock. The superintendent says it's late. It should have been disqualified. It should never have been heard. Yet that was the one that was supposed to be disqualified was the one who actually won the bid. That was his testimony.
And who was the person that placed that bid?
I'm not sure, Tim. Do you remember who it was?
Yeah, the first one was Verizon, and then the other guy was Ben Guerrero, and then
Who was the one that was late?
and then the other one was it's the American Surveillance, which was late 201,
And so American Surveillance got the bid.
and they got the bid.
And we all know who owns that.
Yep,
Mr. Escobedo.
absolutely.
So after that, who came on next?
After that was Cesar Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
Cesar wasn't there too long. I tell you what. He actually did pretty good in making sure that whatever was asked, he said. He was being forthcoming about his role as a president at the district. They asked him a little bit about his history, what he did, how was the procedures done at BISD, and he was actually pretty good. They tried to come back and attack him. The defense tried to discredit him as a witness, but I think he held his own pretty well. He wasn't really strong in his statements, but he I don't think he was holding back on anything else. He did say that he made a mistake, on submitting some stuff to the what?
The finance, and he didn't report the 2000.
And his campaign report, but he said it was a mistake he did. He owns it up. There was nothing there. More than anything, I think it was the process and how it was.
Hey Tim and Carlos, just for our community to get a better grasp of this individual, please explain to us, because he's been involved in school district politics for many years. Please talk to us about his family, who previously sat on BISD. Talk to us about his relationships with school board members and the different businesses that he has, just so we can have an idea of this individual, Escobedo.
Lopez?
Escobedo.
Oh, Escobedo.
Going back very quickly, because we just mentioned his name.
Yeah. Well, see, the way they were presenting there is that Escobedo has many companies, right? Many companies, and what Sylvia Atkinson was doing with him is that anything that, especially in Rio Hondo, we're talking about Rio Hondo, we haven't gotten any further, but what was happening is that anytime that there was a bid or something that was favorable to Sylvia Atkinson, he would be the guy to call. Hey, do you sell laptops? I do now. Hey, do you sell do you do construction? I do now. Do you do armored car? I do now. So everything was, hey, do you do it? He does everything. He's a go-to guy for any time that there's something that needs to be done. And so it was easy for Sylvia Atkinson to use him because he would lend himself to Sylvia Atkinson and her shenanigans. And this is why we are in court this time around. It took 7 years of being able to get someone so far in this web and to be able to drum up so much evidence against her. But at the same time, this gentleman was being used to facilitate contracts, to facilitate monies to in the hands of Sylvia Atkinson.
So, Carlos, I want to say it's safe to say that under his umbrella, he had many companies that probably all have the same address.
Yeah, so the research was done, and then everything goes back to 55 Galansky. So you look at 55 Galansky, and there's a company for construction, there's a company for laptops, there's a company for food, there's a company for armored cars, security. I mean, just name it, it's all there. And so what happens is that anything you follow, then and see that the trail follows the TSC as well. See, there's a lot of places where this individual went, and if you follow, you look at Sylvia where she went, everywhere she stepped, there was an Escobedo contract. Everywhere she went, there was something going on. And so what the government is looking at these crumbs that are being left behind and following them, and all they had to do was follow Sylvia Atkinson, and all these individuals started popping up everywhere, And so,
hey, Carlos, who did he donate to?
Well, he's donated to many people, but also you got to remember. I think I'm not sure if they brought it up or not, but Sylvia's brother, who sits there in the court, was married to an Escobedo. I think the sister. So I don't know if that ties it in there somehow. So Sylvia's brother was married to an Escobedo. I don't know if they're still married or not, but so you see how strong these ties are. They're familial ties besides just friendships, and opportunities.
And you have him donating to Daniela, which is running for place 5.
Yeah, I think it out there the other day, right, Frankie?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. From most of the finance reports of our opponents, he's donated, in the excess of $500 to each opponent that they want on their slate.
Correct.
Shout out to the Hannah librarians. But yes, Jaime Escobedo is very familiar with school district politics. He is the brother of President or Dr. Escobedo, who committed suicide several years ago. So this is an individual who's very acquainted with the players, the movers, the shakers, so to speak. I did not know that, Carlos, that he had this close relationship to Sylvia Atkinson. So that just takes it a little bit further, that you have an individual who was more like family. So that's why he had how Vito mentioned, an umbrella of businesses, and it was kind of like, well, what can we make money next? So that's what it sounds like from what you previously mentioned. That there was multiple businesses under one umbrella, and if this went to TSC, if this went to BISD, Rio Hondo with the tablets, these guys literally had their hands in everything.
Oh yeah, it was a monopoly. I mean, a game of Monopoly.
Yeah, and then like Tim was saying, there is a lot of donations from several of these one person's companies. Daniela got a donation, Minerva got a donation, Philip Cowan gets a donation. You get all these people that are being slated to make sure that those people that fall under the umbrella of Sylvia Atkinson get monies to be able to continue to be in a place where they can make these decisions, so they can give back to the people that they owe, because they owe these individuals. You're looking at what happened again, and it came out again. It specifically was stated, as testimony, that the vote, if you go back to the February 12, 2019,
Yep.
the special call board meeting of BISD, which was one of the reasons that Sylvia is in trouble, where she manipulated and she bought votes from Minerva and from Philip Cowan. It specifically states there what she was trying to do. What she was trying to do is to pass that movie deal that is somehow tied to Mayor Trey Mendez, Galansky, and John Cowan, and who's the other one?
Carlos Cascos.
Galansky, and there's one more. I can't remember who it is. But also Benny's. Benny's name came up there. And so if you look at that, these ties are coming into play, not only with BIZ, not only with Real Hondo IZ, but also the city and now the county. And so what happens is that they make sure that these monies from these vendors are being distributed among those individuals. So if you look at that and you follow, like Erasmo has been saying in the past, Frankie, you've been saying it is, and we've been saying it here for months, is you look at their campaign finance reports. These individuals are paying hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. But not only that, Frankie, in testimony also came out that that Sylvia Atkinson was asking for $25,000 per head for her candidates. Plus, me too is the response from her. So 25,000, 25,000, 25,000. And me, Sylvia Atkinson, me too. I want 25,000 too. So you look at the trail, you look at the crumbs that she's been leaving behind. It goes all the way to the city. You look at these individuals who attack, like Frankie, you've been attacked, and Osmo got attacked. I got attacked at BIZ. They would force me to say, pick a side, Carlos. You want to be chief or you want to be a BIZ trustee? Guess what? I stayed as a BIZ trustee. They took away my chief position. They went and they used everything they had. And in this case, they used Elia Cornejo Lopez, whose name came out today as being one of the individuals who is being investigated for bribery. She was part of the person who actually signed my arrest warrant. She is the person who signed 3 times for PD to come in here and raid my home and my father-in-law's house. Her signature, the power of the pen. Now you know why they wanted to take the element who was actually blocking Sylvia Atkinson from stealing. As soon as I was pulled away, guess what she did? You saw what she did. February the 12th of 2019, she passed a resolution by buying votes from Philip Cowan and Minerva Peña to be able to push this movie deal through BISD. That is what did her in. That deal was being pushed by an undercover agent, making sure to see how far this corruption was going. It is going even further. Now it involves a sitting judge, Elia Cornejo Lopez, part of a bribery scheme involved with Sylvia Atkinson.
On that $25,000 that she was trying to collect from vendors to help her candidates, were these candidates on BISD, the city, TSC?
The ones for the 25,000 are actually for the city, but there's even more monies, and they didn't give a prize on the slate that she pushed for BISD, which ends up being Drew Brown, Percy, and I think there's one more I can't remember, but I don't know if they mentioned the name or not, but those 2 names were mentioned. This time around, the only thing that was mentioned was that she bought 2 votes, one from Minerva and one from Philip Cowan, because they didn't want to vote her way.
And these were $2,000.
Yes.
That supposedly was donated to the Miles of Hope.
Yeah, the Miles of Hope is an organization, great organization. I'm not going to say anything against it. It's just the fact that how Minerva Peña used it to be able to get monies under the pretense that there were going to be a donation to this Mile of Hope, which my understanding, the information that I have right now is that no $2,000 were donated from Minerva to the Mile of Hope.
Hey, Carlos, Adrian has a question. Is the Barracoa Gate possibly connected to this?
I think it was. The Barracoa Gate was before me, and I know that we had actually implemented. Hold on, keep it on that one. Let me answer the other one first. We had actually asked the through Arvin Tucker when he came in to actually audit what had happened with that money. There was over $400,000 that were spent through the Barracoa, through a company from Mexico. So what the direction from us was to Arvin Tucker and the superintendent back then, President Dejas, is to actually figure out what happened to that money. This is interesting. Back then, when Sylvia Atkinson came on board, turned it over real quick and said, you know what, Baltasar Salazar, you're going to be the one in charge of figuring out what happened to the money. You're going to figure out who were the people that actually brought that company, Mexican company, into BIZ to sell barbacoa to BIZ. And guess what? As soon as Arvin started getting on it, they got rid of Arvin.
Yep.
Ask yourself if Baltasar Salazar has ever brought anything to the table. I remember several meetings where Coach Rodriguez asked, "What is the update on barbacoa issues?" Oh yeah, we're working on it. We got this going on. We got that going on. And each and every time it was sidestep. And Sylvia Atkinson was, hey, let Baltasar take care of it. Let Baltasar take care of it. Let Baltasar take care of it. Why? Maybe Sylvia Atkinson is part of that. We don't know that yet. There's still so much more out there that we don't even know. It's like the tip of the iceberg, like I said yesterday. They are having so many people being brought day in, day out. Today, a big hit from big old 18-wheeler just drove through the damn court with the name Elia Cornejo Lopez bribery. Nobody expected. I didn't expect that. Nobody expected that.
Okay. The question at hand is, in the last campaign, he also received monies from the same companies he's against right now. So trying to understand.
Who? I'm trying. No, but she's no disrespect on the question. I'm just trying. Who is his?
Yeah, it says, I have a question for Mr. Elizondo. In his last campaign, he also received monies from the same companies. I guess he's trying to ask you if you ever received any vendor money.
When I ran the first time, I did receive monies, but I didn't know anybody. I was an outsider coming in. I actually did get money from Baltasar Salazar. I got one check, and when I found out what was going on, he had given me two. I still have that second check I never deposited, and so I have it there just there just because I didn't know. I was new to BAZ, and I thought it was okay just to and I didn't know who was a vendor, who was not, who was liked, who was not. But as I got educated and I'm still getting educated on the process, I don't accept it.
Yeah.
And I can show everybody. It's there. It's on top of my fridge. It's a check with his name for $1,000. Never checked. Never cashed it.
Good for
I
you.
don't know if that answers the question. I'm not sure, but
Well, that's a good question. Only the investigators on why he committed suicide know. I mean, he was loud.
And we have two suicides, if I'm not mistaken, within BISD within this past 5 or 6 years. So
correct.
Do y'all think this was barbacoa, or do y'all think this was something else?
Well, let me tell you what was brought up, and I don't think I mentioned it because I wasn't asked the question, but I did. Now that we were asked the question, the investigators were asked, or actually the defense asked Rodrigo Moreno if he had ever recorded Dr. Escobedo, and the answer to the question was yes. So I don't know if he was a target, yes or no. I'm not sure, but the question was asked by the defense if Rodrigo Moreno was recording Jaime Escobedo, and the answer to that was yes.
So that leads us to believe that either he knew something, or yes, that's correct, Garcia. That is correct. So that leads us to believe that he was onto something, or he was tipped off, or he got a letter from the feds. What's your take on that?
Well, see, that's as far as it went, because what they were asking Rodrigo was like, was he friends with Jaime Escobedo? And his response was, I'm not friends with Jaime Escobedo. But didn't you run the Brothers campaign? He says, yes, I was really good friends with Jaime Escobedo, but I'm not good friends with. I'm sorry, I was real good friends with Enrique Escobedo, but I'm not good friends with Jaime Escobedo. So that's how that says. Well, then you're saying if you were real good friends with Enrique, why were you recording him?
He was at a party, wasn't he?
I'm not sure, but that was the question. Why were you recording Enrique if he was your friend? And that's where it stayed. There was nothing there after that.
Who was on the witness stand after Smiley and Lopez?
After Lopez, it was Laura Reyes.
No, Perez Reyes.
Mm-hmm. And actually, you know what? She came in, and Laura Perez is short in stature, man, but she held her own. They were in there. They asked her the tough questions. She answered the questions the way they needed to be asked, answered, and then they asked her how the process was. You know, what would she would do if she knew that that agenda item that was being put by Sylvia Atkinson at BISD, because they claim, hey, I got a 7-0 vote. Hey, that everybody said it was a good deal for the school district to bring in this movie deal where Sylvia Atkinson got paid $10,000. So she says, yeah, I thought it was a good feel story for the district. I'm always about getting the kids, the representation they need. It sounded real good. It was about these kids who crossed from Mexico to the U.S. Blah 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 blah. Whatever. It was really nice. I voted for it. I thought it was good. It had good support. And then the question was asked.
Excuse me, Carlos Baltasar is the BISD attorney.
Yeah. And so
as much money as a superintendent for.
So they asked Laura, they asked Laura, because it was 7-0 vote. So it says, why did you vote for it? And so that was her explanation through it. And then they asked her, the government asked, did you know? And let me ask you this: would you have voted for that if you knew that Billy Atkinson had collected $4,000? The answer was no. Would you vote for that if you knew that Sylvia Atkinson got $6,000 after? And the answer was no. And they asked her again, would you have voted for it if you knew that the company, Pink Cape, was only a front for another company from India or Hollywood? And the answer, of course, was no. So she was misguided by the feel-good story, not knowing everything behind it, what was actually going on, which was a collection of a bribe to make sure that this agenda item was passed.
Yeah, and actually, when Laura got on, they asked her why, how she felt about it, and she said she had her concerns about it because when she saw the connection with Rodrigo, and it was under consent agenda instead of board member request. She had a little bit of concern. Went to go talk to Dr. Hatton, and Hatton was frustrated and helpless. And so that being said, they asked her about the $1,500 miles of hope, and they asked her what board member comes to mind when we talk about this organization, and Laura says Minerva Peña, which was wow.
So to answer this question, ¿quién es Baltasar Salazar? Baltasar Salazar is the board attorney who actually pays these individuals. Right now, he's running a slate with Minerva Peña, Daniela, Little Lady, Denise Garza. He is paying for their campaigns. Like I think Minerva Peña just got about 7,000 that she reported being paid by Baltasar Salazar, and then another $300 or $400 by the sister. And then you have all these other dummy companies that are putting money into Minerva Peña. Why? Why would you want that? In his case, is to protect his $350,000 salary.
Mhm.
In Sylvia Atkins' case, is to continue to make sure that she is able to manipulate her slate to be able to get these votes. And in Minerva's case, is to be able to take bribes for her vote to be able to put monies into her pocket under the I guess the shadows of these nonprofit organizations like Mile of Hope, who she represents, who is a great organization. It's a faith-driven organization, I think, right? But why is Baltasar Salazar well? It's 350,000 reasons, guys. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know why is the question so hard to understand? It's because you don't see it, guys. You don't see the shadow deals. You don't see what happens in closed doors. You're seeing it now because Sylvia Atkinson got caught.
Yeah, and it's
Sylvia Atkinson is throwing everybody underneath the bus, like Erasmo has been saying, and Frankie has been saying for months and months and months. We are seeing it on a daily basis how she is throwing people under the bus, and it's coming little by little, and it's getting the huge fish. In this case, Judge Elia Cornejo Lopez was brought up today about being part of a bribery scheme between her and Sylvia Atkinson.
Carlos, Frankie, you're the conspiracy theorist in our group. on this question. Escobedo was the person that found both bodies of the BISD members that committed suicide. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's all tying in, and we're just starting to finally realize it?
This was, I would say, maybe 5 or 6, possibly 7 years ago. I do remember monitoring these cases. I've always been interested in politics, especially BISD politics, for as long as I've known. And these two cases, one happened in 2011. I'm not sure when the FNS or the one in charge of the Capistran. I forget his title. I know he was in charge of food. I don't remember the year that it occurred, but I do remember that. I'm sorry.
FNS director.
FNS director. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do remember that there was allegations that, or the whisper that the same caliber of gun was used on both individuals. Again, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I ran on that. I haven't confirmed that, but that's something that's been out there. Why did these individuals take their lives? And again, it's unfortunate that it came down to this. I've heard that these weren't suicides. That people that were close to these two individuals state that, hey, they had a lot to look forward to. Were they some questionable deals? Did they have some sketchy past or dealings? More than likely. But whenever you spoke with somebody close to them, you would say, no, I don't think it was a suicide. Also, another thing that I heard was, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, community, but that it was Jaime Escobedo that found both of these two individuals. Now, whether that's true or not, did they blow smoke up me? I do hope so. But that, well, I do hope that they were lying, that they were trying to make this, trying to correlate these two suicides, what we anticipate murders, because that's what they were alluding to. Because they said, look, Frankie, it's not a coincidence. We have one suicide in 2011, the president of the board, and then we have another suicide from the director of FNS, somebody that was in charge of food, who probably had an understanding, some inkling into the inner workings of this board of the powers that be, who are in the shadows. So I did hear that, guys. I don't know if you guys want to touch up on a little bit about that, but I did hear that it was the same caliber of gun, and that both individuals were found by Jaime Escobedo.
Well, you have Enrique Escobedo that died in December 2013, and Silverio Capistran died in February 2016. But we have to remember that all these board members, they have their own agendas. They have their particular things that they want to tackle. And when I heard today about Miles of Hope and who it connected to, and they said, well, what brings to mind? And they said Minerva Peña. I thought, well, all that makes sense. All the hoopla on Jesus, Lord, Christ, whatever it is. Basically, what comes to my mind is the saying in Spanish, come santos y diablos. With me now.
Guys, Maria has a good question. How much money do you think Sylvia has made over the years that have gone straight into her purse?
Well, that's what we're gonna have to find out once we get once we get on the board, is to create an audit team to go out and look at everything that was being handled by Sylvia. I said we don't have control over how much money she took away from Rio Hondo or Oro or Los Fresnos or stuff like that. That's something that they would have to look into. But we do have control of what they had taken or what she has taken and her people that she's connected to. So the only way, Vito, I think the only way, Maria, to figure out is to make sure that you get an audit team to go out there and make sure that they audit everything, because it's going to be very important to bring everything to light, to make sure that all this stuff that was stolen is somehow be able to return back to the community. But not only that, to figure out where we can put a stop to it, because you know what? The only people that lose here are our BISD family. Those are the individuals that lose the most. Those are the people that I see when I'm there, and I hear, you know what, there's another person that just got put into the mix. You know, you got Elia Cornejo Lopez, who actually colluded with Ben East and stuff like that, with individuals and I'm gonna and I don't want to say it because you're not gonna a lawsuit against the city that I'm gonna be able to put on, and because this just solidifies what they have done to me and what they have done to Erasmo, what they're trying to do to Frankie, what they've done to a lot of administrators, teachers, and everybody who actually stood in the way of them being able to line their pockets with BISD money. So it is unfair for not only us as a community, but everybody that is part of the BISD family. So hopefully that answers your question. I don't know the exact amount. I know that there's hundreds of thousands of dollars out there, maybe even millions. Who knows?
Yep, it's unfair and it's not right. But come November, remember November, we've got to collect the right. We've got to vote for the right people, and it's going to be a monumental task for you guys to clean up all the muddy water. Just clean it all up. It's going to be a lot, but we have faith that you guys are going to do a great job cleaning it all up.
You're correct, Jim, and with election day on Tuesday, and then they scheduled a board meeting that following day, kind of, tells you that they want something done real quick.
Yes, exactly right. That's exactly right. They do want something done real quick. They want to be able to make sure that they get the last bite at the apple, and the only way they'll do it is what they did. They moved the meeting the very next day after the elections.
Shenanigans.
And who allowed this? But the slate that's being pushed by Baltasar Salazar, the slate that's being pushed by Sylvia Atkinson, the slate that's being pushed by Adan Salas, by all these Drew Brown, these individuals that want to keep the majority inside the house. Because if we're able to push these roaches out, guess what? They will not have any more control over BISD, which is what we're trying to do.
Well,
Hey, Derek,
Hey,
thank you.
Carlos, remember Erasmo questioned the agenda item when Minerva wanted to provide facilities at no charge.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
then,
true.
yeah.
I mean,
So
it's very important, guys, to go make sure you go look at February the 12th, 2019 board, a special call board meeting. That is where the votes were sold for favorable votes on Minerva's agenda item, Philip Cowan's agenda item, Sylvia Atkinson's agenda item. That's where all this is playing a big factor. So if you go look at that, and then you'll see how it evolved, how these back deals were being done without the public knowing.
oh,
And
yeah.
then you hear the praises of Minerva Peña, and then this is all for the children. You hear Philip Cowan, yes. And then you have Prissy, oh yes, all the staff, we're here for you guys. Drew Brown, oh man, yeah. And then what we're seeing now within the courtroom, you're like, what a bunch of malarkey. And that's
yep.
that's for you, malarkey, you white boy. What a bunch of malarkey.
To
You know?
answer the question, it was presented like a bag of popcorn where everybody bought into it, even though it's not the take, Diego.
Let me
It's
let me answer that question, Diego, because I was there, so I know exactly why. And again, I go back, go listen to that meeting. This is a reason that meeting got a 7-0, even though Erasmo wasn't. You can hear his testimony. You can hear where Erasmo was saying, you know what, I don't like the way it sounds. I don't like this and that. But then the presentation by the superintendent, which is Dr. Han, which is going to be a witness tomorrow, how she presented it and the story behind that agenda item. I would have even voted for it because I didn't know that Sylvia Cassandra was going to get paid $10,000. I didn't know that out of those $10,000, she was going to pay Minerva two, and Philip Cowan another two. I didn't know that. Now the government asked these individuals, would you have voted, because it was a 7-0, would you have voted? And they told everybody, Laura, would you have voted if you knew that the actual pretense of that agenda item was to be able to line the pockets of Sylvia Atkinson and all her minions? The answer, of course, was unanimously a no. Even Philip Cowan said, no, I would never have done that. I would have called the chief of police of BISD so he can run in there and arrest her. Well, yeah, nobody knew. This is why these people were like, Yeah, it's a great idea. 7-0, let's do it. But in reality, it was only for Sylvia to line her pockets with the money of an undercover agent, which she didn't know. This is why she's here now. This is why she's facing these charges, where she can be in jail for over 45 years because of what she did. She took monies from everybody. So this is a question, Mr. Franklin. Since you were, I don't know.
A
That's
100%. Yes, I am supportive of her. Like how I said, based on the KRGV article, it seemed to me that they did investigate it. But yeah, of course, I do support her 1,000%.
You're innocent until proven guilty.
So regarding what do we anticipate tomorrow?
Well,
Where did the state leave off? What was the feel closing? And what do you anticipate for tomorrow?
well, actually, after Laura was Philip.
What happened with Philip on the?
actually before all this, which was yesterday before they exited with Rodrigo Moreno, the question was asked by him because they asked, since he is a media consultant and a political an analyst and consultant and stuff like that, he before he was excused, right? He's still under the rule, which means he's still a witness and is able to be brought back in case. He turned around and he asked the judge, "Can I ask you a question?" And the judge says, "Yeah, you can ask me the question. I don't know if I'll have the answer for you." And so he says, "Because of my work and because a board member is still a client of mine, I need to know if I'm able to go and work his campaign." Of course, we know who that is. That's Philip Cowan. So he didn't know the answer. He had to revert back to defense and government. And so today, I think they figure something out, whether he can go back and continue to help Philip Cowan, but is not able to talk about this case with Philip Cowan. So yeah, he's still going to work for Philip Cowan. So Philip Cowan ended today by saying, because they asked him the question, the defense asked him the question, "So you are a client of Pink Cape?" Yeah, yeah. He's doing a couple of stuff. He's a little bit of that and a little bit of this, and and he whatever. And so they asked him, "Well, how much do you pay him?" Well, he says, "I pay Pink Cape $5,000 a month for his campaign, plus all the other stuff that he does."
And that average what, $40,000?
Well, I think that right now it's like at 50 or 60,000.
Okay, so did they bring up him taking the bribe of the $2,000?
They didn't.
No.
Did,
No,
did they excuse him from the seat?
Yes.
yeah. But what happens with Philip when he got in there, introduced himself and all that stuff? You see, Philip. Every time, if you know who Philip is out there, you've seen him in the board meetings. I get a headache every time I hear him. He's a nice guy, but Philip runs around in circles like a dog chasing its tail. He talks a lot and says nothing. It's exhausting. It really is. So exhausting that the judge admonished him today to shorten his answers because he loves to talk. But other than that, he was asked the same questions that Laura was asked. If you would have known that the defendant took the 4,000, would he have voted for it? He said no. Do you think it's um, appropriate or inappropriate? He said it's inappropriate. And about the drafting of the letter, he said no. About the $6,000, he said no. He would have been against it. But all in all, after he was admonished, they asked him a couple more questions. The defense asked him some questions. No big deal. Bye bye, Phil. He left. No big deal.
Guys, there's a question very quickly. Vito, if you could go back, how long will the audit need to be? I would dare say maybe 10 years. Let's open up the books long, possibly longer. But again, we need to bring in individuals with great experience working books and be confident in their ability to go back and trace all that, because that's very important. So I would dare say 10 years. If they would recommend to go back a little bit further, I would be all for it.
My answer to that one, Frankie, would be as far as the law allows us to, because there is a statute of limitations with everything. I don't know what they are. We would need to bring in an attorney to tell us, or someone who does that for a living. But as far as the law allows us to, so that there is that transparency to the community, that we are in there, we're trying to do what is right, making sure that every money that was ill spent is recovered, or if not, the person who spent it needs to be, you know,
Held
taken.
accountable.
Yeah. Okay, Julius, but how about you, Carlos? The charges you're facing? Sure, I have nothing to hide. I'm going to tell you right now with what came out today. The evidence shows and testimony shows that the actual firefighter who actually filed charges on me was in collusion with Ben Neese. There is a witness to that fact. There is a witness that he heard Ben Neese and George Lerma in a meeting where George Lerma asked for more favors, and Ben Neese ultimately says, "You know what? I'm done with it. I'm not going to help you anymore. I already fired Carlos. That's what you wanted me to do. I have fired Carlos for you. That's it. I'm not going to do anything." In collusion with the judge that's actually facing bribery charges, who actually signed the warrant for that arrest. So what are my charges? I don't know. I'm ready to go to court and figure it out myself. What was her name? Go back.
Sorry.
I don't know who to address anymore. But maybe that answers it. Damn. You know, you got to
Julia Esparza.
Okay, Julia Esparza. Hopefully that answers your question. There's a lot of individuals here that wanted me out of there, and they colluded to make sure that they smeared me, and they took away my job and my career and my retirement and the insurance for my kids. That's what you should be asking yourself. What are those individuals that colluded to make sure that they took away everything that I worked for? What are they getting? Well, they're getting what they deserve. I heard it today from the horse's mouth. The FBI.
Yeah.
The FBI said that the judge is under investigation. So I'm okay, Julia. I'm okay.
That means, have y'all talked or brainstormed about a new policy in place when it comes to vendors asking to be in the list, nor no bribe money? How do we stop the way vendors vie for your vote or consideration? Will vendors be kicked out the moment they break rules? Well, to me, it all falls under ethics. You're not supposed to take any money from a vendor. They're there to do business with the ISD, not with a board member. That's the way I see it, and that's the way it should be done. But my opponent, is taking $2,000 to say yes to a vote that should have been no. How much more money did they take? Who else is involved in all of this when money was being handed out? And these are people that we entrusted to do the right thing. The only one that actually did the right thing was Erasmo, and he was the one that everybody was pointing the finger at. And that's sad,
Lorenzo, we don't know really. We don't know if the feds are actively going back and still investigating this, because again, we have to understand Dr. Escobedo, and then shortly thereafter, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, Dr. Escobedo, shortly thereafter, Capistran committed suicide. So was there something that that they personally were involved? I don't know. Was this a cartel hit? Is this the mafia? Is this something that is a lot bigger than what we expect? We really don't know. The only ones that know probably are those two individuals and the federal government.
Correct. And those investigated it that have some kind of inkling.
Yeah.
Vito, hurry.
No.
No, I mean, read it.
You know what?
Sing it.
Here we go.
Loud.
Give back the money, Sylvia!
All right.
Ooh.
I have that big belly he has.
You need to work on it, Vito. You need to work on it.
Work on it.
Just joking, man.
And everyone, Frankie's our conspiracy theorist. He still believes that Bigfoot is out there.
The ghost hunter?
It's true. Someone tell Vito it's still October. What's up with the Christmas background? You're killing me, Smalls.
And you know why? Because for some people, Christmas has come early with the bomb that was dropped on the news today. You know, no one expected it. Carlos, correct me if I'm wrong. But on Tuesday, you made mention that Sylvia said that she had a judge in her pocket.
That's right. We know now who it was.
Now,
Today it was put out in public. You know, you had the news media there, so it's not something that I made up. It's something that comes out of testimony. It's coming out from the government, and it's coming out from the defense. Carlos Elizondo didn't bring this information out. I'm just sharing what I heard. The news media immediately ran out because we didn't get dismissed till about 5:30, close to 5:30. This reporter, great reporter, because he's been there every day taking notes, immediately went out to make the 5:30 deadline, so he can report what he had heard, which is exactly what we're telling you here, that Judge Elia Cornejo Lopez is involved in a bribery scheme and is currently under investigation by the FBI. That's what was said. That's what I heard. That's what was reported. What happens, who's involved, who's not, who's touched who or what is beyond me. That information we're not privy to that. It's an ongoing investigation. Guess what? They're not going to tell me. They're not going to tell Tim. They're not going to tell the public there in the audience either, because it is so far. The web is so big, and Atkinson has touched everybody within the city, the county, the district, in multiple cities, in multiple counties, and even up to the state, is what she says in her testimony.
Correct. On the gate, I mean, that was
TSC. I haven't mentioned TSC. She mentioned TSC as well. She can get done anything at TSC, and she has. She had a movie there that was recorded, the whole, which she and Trey Mendez share roles as directors, assistant directors, something like that. That's all come out. It's not me saying it. Like we had someone yesterday, I think it was related to Peña. Oh, what about your charges? Hey, don't kill the messenger. I'm not the one saying it, guys.
These are facts that are coming out in the court.
It's testimony, man. This is testimony. We're
there?
reporting what the news is limited in reporting. We are telling you exactly what we heard during these last 3 days. They are getting to the point to where they say they're going to rest on Friday. That means that they're coming to the end of their witnesses, but they have 2 pages of witnesses that they still can call in, guys. There is so much out there that we don't even know yet.
Snoopy, the barbacoa was an incident back 4 or 5 years ago where they were getting processed meat from Mexico. I believe Erasmo Castro did post a picture of it one time, and it went viral, and people started questioning it. So that is what Barbacoa Gate is. It is processed meat from Mexico that they were serving to our students at the district in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the issue that the district was facing with, and as of today, we haven't heard nothing of it. So what one could ask themselves, is this Mexican ties, with people on that side of the border? Who knows? But that's a little bit of synopsis of what Barbacoa Gate is.
On
well, you want to say, Vito?
Marketing company owned by Rodrigo Moreno, who is the chief witness for the prosecution. A lot of people have used him, from Escobedo, and the list goes on. Sylvia used him. There's quite a few people that, and this is where all the video and audio comes from. Him being entwined by everyone that hired him and paid him. My opponent has paid him almost $50,000, and he's in court. So I don't, I can only hope y'all are out there voting. We have to vote all these incumbents out. If you want more of the same, we're not going to get anywhere. We've all been hit on the blogs, on social media, but You know, we're talking about people that are there to make money in a spot that doesn't pay anything. You're just there to make a decision, the decision that's right for the school district and no one else, the community. You know, and these people have walked out with bags, you know, with the dollar signs on it. Don't get me started. I'm starting to get pissed.
Any updates to the current election? How are we doing? Tammy, all we know is that 30,000 people have voted for the BISD elections, which has surpassed, if I'm not mistaken, the previous school board elections by far. And we still have Thursday, Friday, and if I'm not mistaken, Friday the hours were extended to 9 p.m. So we have 3 days upcoming where if you haven't registered, if you haven't voted yet, make sure you take your friends and family. But as of right now, we do have 30,000 people that have voted in the BISD elections. So it's we're getting a great response from the community.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
So who are we starting off with in the morning on the hot seat? Did they say?
Undercover agent?
What's that? I'm sorry, I didn't get them. I'm sorry. What was that?
Tomorrow, Carlos. Is it Dr. Hatton or undercover agent?
Who the witnesses are for tomorrow? It's Joy Barkers from TASB, Sylvia Hatton, the previous superintendent, Pat Perez, the undercover agent, and then another agent, I think Cowan or something like that. Why did they go against me? Because I was not allowing Sylvia Atkinson to steal from the district. I was not allowing the judge to be able to manipulate, board decisions or votes. I voted against Elia Cornejo Lopez on one of the things, especially her $1 million lawsuit against the district. I wasn't going to take it, so they had to get rid of me to be able to bring in people who are yes votes for Sylvia Atkinson and for the judge to be able to manipulate and her make this. This slate be able to vote for her. That was brought up today. I'm going to tell you exactly what was said. I said the conspiracy or the bribery was that, and this is straight. This is not me. This is exactly what was said in the court, and they took everybody by surprise because it came from just straight from my. Oh, thank you, Linda. It came straight out of left field. It says this is exactly what the defense alleges: an alleged crime involving Laura Perez Reyes to meet Judge Elia Cornejo Lopez in San Antonio in return for her support for the district clerk's race. So the judge went to Laura to tell her, I will support you in your endeavor for district clerk if in exchange you support me for the settlement of my lawsuit at BISD. And this is what said. If you're in it, use Sylvia Atkinson. Send her a thumbs up text, right? That means that you're on board. Laura didn't do that. Laura sent a happy face.
Right.
And she never voted for the judge. And that's where it ended.
That's how the day ended?
That's how that conversation ended. And then the jury was brought in. This happened right after we broke from lunch and came back from lunch. That was this whole ordeal that was going on. It was crazy. It was crazy. That's why they went against me, because I wouldn't do what Laura Perez Reyes didn't do either, is to succumb to the pressure of individuals like the judge, individuals like Sylvia. They needed to get people out like me. They used Ben Nees as a sitting commissioner to fire me, through the president of the union, George Lerma, to go out and file a false police report against me. That's how they were able to get rid of me from the city. They couldn't get rid of me on BISD. I wouldn't allow it. I got beat by Erasmo. That's how I left. I'm not a quitter, guys. I'm gonna stand up and do the right thing, regardless of what gets thrown at me. And yes, are you gonna ask me if it hurts? Those are the questions. Does it hurt? Yeah, it hurt my kids. Yeah, it hurt my household. It hurt my career. They took away my retirement. Yeah, it hurts, guys. But I'm back here again, and I'm not gonna bow to individuals.
You're still standing, bro. We're proud of you.
we can only move forward. I mean, we learn from our mistakes, and there weren't really mistakes. It was just people that were out to get us. That's all it is.
Vito! Man, trigger figure, bro. You don't even give me time to read.
Dude, we only.
Where are you?
I'm afraid that Erasmo's going to show up and throw me out, being that I unplug everything, I move his seat, I hide stuff. Look at this! Whoa! I stole this jacket from his wardrobe.
Oh,
Hey,
nice.
dude, it fits you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're like Minerva. You have more chins than Chinese phone book.
All right, I'm working it. It's the store because Christmas is coming.
Need
Christmas.
to work it.
A great day for Brownsville, November 3rd. As long as everybody gets out and vote. If you haven't voted, get all your family members, call your friends, call anybody, knock on your neighbor's door and say, have you voted? Let's go. We need your votes, guys. If you want more of the same, well, you're going to get the crumbs. It's time for change. It's time for what Erasmo has been crying about for a year, sitting with Frankie, of everything that was going on and everything. Hey, he's the new Bobby Loco. What? Come on now. It's all coming to fruition. It's all happening and unfolding. And the bad thing about it is poor Erasmo is sitting at home and can't do anything about it because he's a witness. And he's going to be on that list until this trial is over. And the good thing is you probably have about 2 more weeks of me. Whoa! On the Brownsville Night Show. Joe Rodriguez, love you, my friend. You're doing a great job there at Hannah.
Hey, dude, the way you flick the comments is the way you speak. Slow it down, baby. Slow it down. Slow your roll. Slow your roll.
I get a little excited.
Yeah.
The signs.
Hey, Eduardo. Good to see you, man. That guy's a good guy, man. Eduardo's a good guy. Very smart kid. Very, very smart.
I like that one. Erasmo.
Someone Spanish. Well, in the morning, I would think that Erasmo will kind of be able to say something, but not elaborate on it. We're sorry, but these two guys know as much Spanish as someone in a Cracker Jack box.
Oh yeah, Lupe's a little late to the game or what? We've set up a platform. We've talked about everything. I mean, come on, Lupe.
Yeah, I mean,
they're recorded. You want to go back and see it? Right now, we're talking about corruption.
Yeah, and we're talking about what's going to happen tomorrow. So we've already established who's going to be testifying, and pretty much, guys. I mean, for some people to actually hear, when do new board members get sworn in? It is
a week after.
8 days.
Yeah, it's usually as soon as the canvasses, the voting of the canvassing of the votes are done, and that's usually when it's done. So yeah, usually I think a week, less than 30 days, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. My eyes
guys. So tomorrow we should be expecting, besides the federal agents, Dr. Hatton, who was the previous superintendent, temporary superintendent, and just an FYI, shortly after the movie deal, shortly before the movie deal, Dr. Sendejas was removed from her position, and shortly thereafter, the movie deal went through. So it's going to be interesting to see what Dr. Hatton either knew or didn't know. Me being a conspiracy theorist, I have questions as to, yes, Rudy, it was him. Adan Salas was at the mall walking today. We have video. Somebody sent it in to me. You are correct, Rudy. Yes, it was Adan Salas, the registered sex offender, who was at the mall with children present.
Was he wearing his Eddie Garcia shirt?
He was wearing a blue shirt. We'll be sure to post that once we get it. Regarding Dr. Hatton, I always thought that she was placed in there by the federal government. I believe that right now, either they wanted something, or they knew something, or they told her previously what was going on, and maybe either she wore a wire, or she must have known something. That's me. That's my personal opinion. So Dr. Hatton tomorrow will be one of the individuals testifying in court tomorrow.
Well, in one of the recordings that they had between Rodrigo and Sylvia, Dr. Atkinson, she did boast that she knew Dr. Hatton and they were friends. They've known each other for a long time. I think that's why she was on board. And so she thought that Dr. Hatton was on board. But as today, when Laura said that she wanted to go talk to her and that she was frustrated and helpless, I don't think she was on board, at least not with the Atkinson people. But that's just my opinion. She was not on board. We'll find out tomorrow.
We will. Tim, last words?
Guys, I taught for 35 years. I'm not going to give a speech, but I'm talking to all those teachers out there and the paraprofessionals and the administrators and the staff, the classified secretaries. Don't complain, because a lot of times, and I'm not trying to be critical, I'm just saying it la mera verdad. A lot of times we yap, 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 and we don't vote. And we're upset and we complain, y echamos, and we do everything negative. And do we vote? No. So I implore you, we implore you, please, like we said earlier, go out and vote. Take your spouse, take your parents, take your parents-in-law, take your uncles, aunts, your relatives. Check on people or your neighbor across the hallway if they voted. And if you want to check, go to aobe.com or .org or my AOBE, and then go down and click on has my family and friends voted? Click on it and check, because sometimes echan mentiras. They tell you they voted and they haven't, because it's happened to me. I say, I already voted, Jim. I already voted. And I check out, no me eches mentiras. It's not true. Oh, I'm going to go vote. You better go vote. When are you going to go vote? So you have to be persistent. Please be persistent, because this race, your livelihood depends on it. So important. The power of one. Go vote, because it all adds up. Have a good night.
Carlos?
Yeah. I just want to answer that. I don't know. There's a Lupe Valle here that seems to want to keep asking questions. I didn't get off the. I got beat by it as well. They wanted me off the board, Lupe. I don't know who you are. If you're defending Sylvia or Drew Brown or Minerva, I don't care, man. The thing here is the truth is being told in the courtroom. Testimony and video of the defendant is being shown. If you're so in tune about wanting to know the truth, come on in, man. It's open to the public. Sit down with me. I'll give you my notes. Learn what is happening. Learn what these people, individuals that you support, that the slate supports, that Eddie Garcia is part of it, that Denise Garza is part of it, that Daniela is part of it, that Minerva and Cowan are part of, that Drew Brown and Prissy are part of. Go in there and educate yourself on why you need to get rid of these individuals, why you need them to be voted out. Why is it that the respect has been lost? Why is it that the moral compass of the district has been lost? This is why you need to go out there. I can sit here and I can tell you anything I want behind a fake profile. Why is it that pedophiles are being put into campaigns for school districts? Not one, but two. Those are the questions you should be asking. Why are we missing millions and millions of dollars that can be given to our PISD families? Those are the questions you should be asking. Not then why didn't Laura get off the board if she also did the right thing like you and Erasmo? I don't know. Go in there and find out. Go ask her. I sat through it. I heard what I heard. I'm not saying that she did. I'm just saying she stood up to Sylvia Atkinson. That's it. I'm not saying anything more than that. I'm just saying the people that are there that are standing up to Sylvia Atkinson, even after being degraded, even after being stolen from, even after being disrespected, are there and they're fighting her tooth and nail to make sure that she goes where she belongs. And now more individuals are being tied into her bribery schemes. You're hearing the voices of the righteousness being exposed now for all the stuff they've taken away from the families of BISD. What have they done to our district? They tried to destroy it. Our district is not destroyed. Our district will rise again, and we will bring respect back to our teachers and our staff, and our kids will get educated again in an environment that is safe for them to do so. But stop defending individuals who are there just because they want a pat on the back, just because they say they're there for you. You have Texas Valley Educator Association, Alberto Alegría, who's not a teacher anymore. He's retired and he's only collecting about $350,000, who he puts back into his pocket and his family. Those individuals, the whole family is running the district. You know what? Let me just tell you, type in Texas Valley Educators, anybody, and look to see who the owner is. It's not an organization. It's owned by one person, his wife. You're looking at Best, Patrick Hammis, who stands up there and attacks board members who are fighting this type of corruption that we're seeing today, that we're seeing in the courthouse. You're attacking individuals that go up there and they voice their concerns. They stand up and they look at you in the eye and tell you, you know what? Yes, I've made a mistake, but you know what? I'm here and I'm going to fight for you guys. I know what it is to be on the ground and being kicked by these individuals who think they're higher and holier than I. We need to bring the respect back to the educators. We need to bring respect back to BIZ staff as a whole. We need to bring respect back to our families who are BISD. This is why we're doing this. Those are the questions. Those are the tough questions you should be asking. Not why I should vote for a slate that's being pushed by individuals who continue to want to steal from the district, by individuals who carry on relationships with child rapists, by individuals who come in here and never step foot in VI, don't know what the sacrifices are about only eating while you're at school. That's what you should be asking yourself. Who are those individuals out there that want to do the right thing? That's what you should do. We do have some time, and we do have one last day to vote, which is November the 3rd. That's where your voices are going to be heard, not on a forum, not hiding behind a fake account. Go out there and vote. Make sure you go and vote, and make sure that your family and friends go out and vote. Let's get this thing back to the district. Let's bring their voice back. Let's remember November, guys.
Frankie, take us home.
We have 3 more days of early voting. Two more days. I'm sorry, 2 more days of early voting. The hours will be extended on Friday till 9 p.m. And then Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday until 7 p.m. If you haven't voted, we encourage each and every one of you to take your friends and family to go vote. This election is very, very important. We have seen how this trial of the century is rolling on, and it is my anticipation, according to the federal judge, that the case will end on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. Whether that goes to the jury on Tuesday, or whether a verdict will be reached on Tuesday. So we have a lot going on here in Brownsville, but let's not forget that we have a big task at hand. We are promising to give back to the community a seat at this BISD school board. It's very important that we take the initiative and do everything possible to encourage our friends and family to go vote. It's very, very important. Moving forward, we will use this platform to bring the transparency that we need within the district. There are many things that were said from March onto today that we will continue to provide our community with the latest news, keep them up to date, and to make sure that everything that is done according to the law and is done right. Thank you so much for your time, guys. See you guys tomorrow night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys. Appreciate it. Love.